Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm Dick Deming. I'm Medical Director of MercyOne Cancer Center and founder of Above and Beyond Cancer. And our guest tonight is my friend, Mary Van Heukelom. Hey, Mary.
Hello, Dick.
So Mary is the program director for Above and Beyond Cancer. And we have been working together for about 11 years. And we're going to talk tonight about the organization Above and Beyond Cancer and what it does to help elevate the lives of those touched by cancer. But before we talk about Above and Beyond Cancer, let's talk about Mary. So Mary grew up in North English, Iowa.
Yes.
Kind of over by Iowa City, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, whopping population of about 1,000 people.
1,000 people.
Yeah,
How many in your high school class, Mary?
I graduated with 28.
And what was your claim to fame in high school?
Oh, I don't know if I had a claim to fame, but I
Oh,
think
you
the whole
did.
Scandridge family kind of had a claim to fame.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just kind of a rambunctious
Like if I went
group.
back to your high school reunion, I said to your classmates, tell me something about Mary from high school. What were they?
Mm.
Were you an athlete,
Yes,
a cheerleader,
I
a
played.
joker, a brainiac?
Well, when you're in a small school, you get to do all of those things.
Yeah.
So I can remember in the fall, I would cheer on the sidelines of the football game. And at halftime, I would go march with my saxophone. And then on Saturday morning, I'd go run a cross country meet. So you would do all of those things. Yeah.
Okay. And then where did you go to college when you graduated?
I went to the University of Northern Iowa. Go Panthers.
Good. And majored in secondary education,
Yeah,
right?
secondary education, and then followed up with a master's in education.
What was your first job as a teacher?
My first job was at North Scott High School in Eldridge, Iowa, and it was a lovely community. I loved that first job. And then
What did you teach?
I taught American government. So that was a lot, I think, for a 23-year-old to be teaching 18-year-olds. I can remember talking about embarrassing moments. Like I remember one time coming back from the bathroom and realized I did not have everything zipped up. And I could tell as I was standing in front of the classroom trying to get attention that there were some funny looking faces. And I looked down and I was like, wow, yeah. So taught government and American history and geography. Yeah.
Okay.
And coached volleyball.
You do a little bit of everything,
Yes,
don't you?
Yeah.
And so then at some point, you've always been engaged in physical activity, realizing the value of it for yourself, right? And
yeah, very much so. I mean, I think growing up in the country, you're always, I was, all of our family were the kind of family that, you were sledding until your fingers turned blue and you were in the mud and the dirt all day long, and then very active playing sports. And even once, I graduated from college, it was very important for me to stay active outside. So just doing what I could, being outside.
And then you became a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And so fast forward a little bit. I remember you and I first met as really before Above and Beyond Cancer really was getting started. And it was, I was going to take a group of my patients to Nepal to trek to Everest Base Camp. And it's like, okay, we need to get people trained. And that whole gathering got together because of your relationship with Charlie, training Charlie Whitmack, who was going to summit Mount Everest. And it was like, okay, well, you can train our group as well. And that's how we first got started.
Yes. Yeah. It was something that I didn't plan on. I didn't even know that a specialty in training cancer survivors existed. When Charlie asked if I was willing to do this, I immediately said yes. And then I kind of went home and freaked out a little bit in my head. Like, what have I said yes to? Do I know what I'm doing? And clearly I did not.
I know I wouldn't say that's the case.
No.
I think, sometimes you learn in the doing.
You do. And so I think what that beginning process very much taught me was to calm my mind. A lot of our fears are fiction, and we can create a lot of stories and fear in our head. And once I was able to kind of calm that down and focus on finding the right resources
Mhm.
and making the plan for that. And of course, meeting you and all the survivors on that initial journey truly was a life-changing experience.
Yeah,
And
for me too. So to set the stage, Charlie Whitmack was the first Iowan to summit Mount Everest, and in 2011 he was going to summit for the second time, and we got together and talked about, wouldn't it be cool if I took a group of my patients that would trek to Everest Base Camp and be there just as he gets ready to summit. So it was, sure, that sounds cool. And it sure sounds cool when you're just concocting the idea over a beer. But then when it actually is, okay, let's really get people together and, what is it going to be like? And are they really going to be able to do it? And not only are you going to be physically capable, but what challenges are you going to face along the way that have nothing to do with how many push-ups and sit-ups you can do, but some of the other things that can happen on the trail.
yeah.
But come back to telling me when you said yes, you do it, and then you were kind of feeling, I don't know, overwhelmed or worried. Was it to do with not knowing? I mean, you had trained many people at that point. Was there the concern that people who have or have had or have cancer might have special needs or concerns or medical issues that would affect the way you would train them?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, I had been training for probably a little less than a year when Charlie had hired me to help prepare him for the World Triathlon. And like I said, I did not have any specialty in cancer survivorship. So I had a lot of questions in my head, like, should cancer survivors be on mountains?
Is this a good idea?
Yeah. What would altitude do to their treatment? What, like all, can you overtrain, all these things? And then learning about, lymphedema and neuropathy. And we had people in our group that had just finished up treatment and some who had incurable cancer. So I definitely did not want to, with my ignorance, put anybody in harm's way. So it was separating the fear to transferring that to curiosity and determination of what it meant to prepare for that. I'm not saying it still wasn't nervous experience, but I will never forget the first day our whole team was training together in this building, which was at that time the Healthy Living Center. And there was almost an undescribable energy with this group of people when they first came together. There's, of course, excitement for the journey, but this very unique, special bond that cancer survivors have together. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. I mean, that's how I felt. It was such an enlightening and motivating experience to be a part of that. We do have a slide, one of a prayer flag in front of when we were at base camp at Mount Everest. And one thing that was really also unique about this time, Dick, was you may remember that at that time, Brenda Van Heukelom was also a patient of yours. And that prayer flag there in that picture.
And that's your sister-in-law.
Yes. That prayer flag was decorated by my children, Anna and Luke. And I carried that prayer flag up to Everest Base Camp. And there it is hanging with other flags. I think we had about 400 on that first trip. And that experience was so kind of monumental on that trip. And to me, it kind of cemented this experience that this team was having, this very unique experience that we can all climb for ego, but really I feel like our transformational journeys are about mission and purpose. And I feel like the prayer flag ceremonies kind of wrap that up.
And as you brought, everyone is connected to someone with cancer, and here was this your sister-in-law going through chemotherapy and stem cell transplants, and as you were training other cancer survivors to fly halfway around the world to trek to Everest Base Camp. I do remember the energy. I mean, just going to Nepal is you think about it, but to know that you're going up into the mountains to go up to about 20,000 feet and not being a mountain climber, and not only wondering about, do I have the physical strength, but do I have the psychological strength? And what about catching a cold and getting diarrhea and throwing up and soiling my pants?
Right. Check.
All of those things are things that happen, and but the coming together with a common purpose, so much different. So prior to that time, I had probably done 30 adventure travel things over my lifetime, but it was all more like just signing up to do something and to go further, farther, faster, higher. This was like 29 people with a common goal and understanding, and there to learn about themselves. But back to the physical training. So you were brought on, you've got many, many talents, but you were brought on because you were a personal trainer. And maybe talk a little bit about the physical training, but also the philosophical, training that happens as we come together and decide, what's the reason you're doing this, and why is this something you want to do?
Those are great questions. That initial experience, I think because it was literally so world opening to me. After or during the experience, that initial 3 months, 4 months of working with your patients, there were so many traits that were bubbling up related to life. I could feel my gratitude growing. I could feel my perspective expanding. I could, in a sense, I felt like working with a team of cancer survivors, because it was changing perspective and gratitude. It was cultivating definitely more compassion in my life and more patience for life in general. And I could see how it was trickling into molding my own personal transformations, and how I was looking at life and how I was viewing parenting and viewing relationship in general. It carried so much power to it that I felt the momentum needed to move forward. And if I lost, I shouldn't say lost, if I didn't maintain some of that connection, that maybe it wasn't going to move forward. That energy may not move forward as it was intended to go
in your life,
in my life.
Yeah.
And
because
not just
as you were changing the lives of those you were training, they were changing you.
Yes, 100%, more so than I ever thought would happen. And when we returned from the base camp of Everest, and Above and Beyond Cancer was officially founded, and you guys invited me to maintain a role in health and fitness, the organization sponsored my certification in exercise training. So
in exercise training for cancer
for
patients.
cancer, yes.
So there's actually, you already had lots of certifications in personal training, but because of that, you actually got the certification in exercise training of cancer patients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that definitely, each year I continue to learn more, and I feel like that's important in humanity, that we stay curious and we stay learning. There's still a lot for me to learn, but I can look back now and confidently say I'm a better trainer all around than I was 11 years ago. Sorry, all those guinea pigs in the early years.
So Mary started, back in 2011, and we really, it wasn't until after we had completed the trek and came back that we realized, I think we thought we were just doing a one and done, and this was a trip, and because Charlie was going to climb and we were going to do that, and we came back, and everybody's life was changed in such a way that we can't just let this go to the side. And so talk about how that first year when we just say, yep, Above and Beyond Cancer, and we're going to elevate the lives of those touched by cancer, and that's going to include a focus on physical activity as a means of not only becoming healthy, but of reaching above and beyond what you thought. Obviously, a physical activity is so easy to measure. How fast did I run this lap? Can I run a mile? Can I do a 10K? Can I do a marathon? Can I lift this amount of weight? My waist has gone from this to this. Very objective things that are so good for those of us who want to see the progress, and then we want to then continue to progress. So maybe talk about how you work to design physical activities that met people where they were on the spectrum of being either already an athlete or never having been an athlete.
That's a great question. What's been really wonderful about our programming as it's developed over the years is the entry point starts with a one-on-one with each cancer survivor. And that's really crucial to understanding each person's journey, what their fingerprint is. Not a literal fingerprint, but their life experience fingerprint, including their vision of where they'd like to head and where they are today. And so with that first meeting of talking about goals and doing a baseline assessment, our staff can then help point them towards what's most appropriate and help moving the needle closer to their optimal well-being. And over the last 5 years, our programming has really expanded and diversified so we can have more offerings to find the right niche for each survivor. And I kind of, in my mind, think of two things. When I partner with a cancer survivor, I say, my job is to keep you safe, but challenge you. And we all need to be pushed a little forward to make a little bit of progress.
Because if you're not reaching above and beyond what you know you can do, you'll never realize what you're capable of doing.
Right. I remember when we returned from that first trip and our friend Teresa Adams-Tomka sent out a notes, and she had written a note to me, and it may have been the same note to everybody. I don't know if it was, and I don't mind if it was, but she had quoted Kurt Hahn, and the quote was, "There's more in us than we know. And if we can be made to realize this, perhaps for the rest of our lives, we will never settle for less." And when I read that, I felt that that was exactly what Above and Beyond Cancer was about. So I could feel that not only in myself, but I was witnessing it in other cancer survivors. And again, we don't all have to go to the base camp of Mount Everest or the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro or on a physical transformational journey that we do encourage people to do, but these things happen on a day-to-day basis within our programming. So I think what is beautiful about Above and Beyond Cancer is, well, many things, but we are a very holistic organization, and we have an umbrella of mindfulness that permeates all of our programming. And I think that's what really also sets it apart from other programs.
Yeah, it's very philosophical, the idea of not just making your body as strong as it can be, but focusing on how can I find joy in this life. We're all mortal. Whether we die of cancer or die of something, we all are mortal. And part of our job as a human being is, what brings joy to my life, deep-seated joy, and how can I get more of that in? And for most people, living healthy, feeling better physically, and helping other people often are pathways to joy. So when I've benefited from your coaching, but I've also seen you coach. And one thing you said, you sort of point people to things. You don't point people, you cheerlead people. Sometimes it's a hug and sometimes it's a kick in the butt. And part of being a good teacher and a good coach is to know, when do you hug and when do you kick in the butt? And can you do it both at once? you know. But you bring out the best in people because you have this effervescent positivity, even on days where I mean, nobody can be truly, absolutely filled with joy every single minute of every single day, but you never show when you're not. And that is so inspiring to people when they come to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how would you say, maybe describe for us over the last 10 years how our programming has evolved, and maybe give our audience a sense of what Above and Beyond Cancer is now in terms of the 18 different programs that are happening every week?
Yeah. So I think it was about the first 3 or 4 years we were primarily a transformational journey non organization, and then we started to evolve and expand. Uh, of course, Richard Deming taught indoor cycling, and the cancer education series has been
That's been going on for 13 years.
yes,
We've been doing this. Actually, it even preceded our first trip.
yes, it did.
When this building was built, it's just next door to my cancer center. And so that at the very beginning, we said, okay, let's do this cancer education series, and I'll teach spin class, and then we'll have fellowship and fruit smoothies. So every Wednesday, this has been happening from 5:30 to 8 for the last 13 years.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of Above and Beyond now, but it actually preceded the formal gathering. So we had that,
Yes.
and then what were the other programs that we added, and then talk a little bit about the programming we have now for cancer survivors.
So each year we started to trickle in some more offerings. And one of the big signature classes is our total training for cancer survivors. And the curriculum was designed to kind of fold in what we kind of would consider some major components of health and wellness. So a little bit of cardio activity and weight resistance training being so crucial for cancer survivors, weight resistance training, and then also some mindfulness and breath work practices, and some good range of motion as well. So bringing that all together in one class. So we started with that, and that was one of our first. It was our first evidence-based class where we had pre and post assessments to track and monitor how the curriculum and the program was, how it was doing, and the difference it was making with the cancer survivors who are participating. So that class was really expanding and growing with participation, and it has served a wide variety. We've had, I think the youngest person that I can recall that has come to total training was 17, and I think the eldest would have been in their 70s, and we've had a wide variety of cancers.
Yeah, I would say in their 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, I certainly remember a married couple, they were both in their 80s.
Mhm.
And I think of our friend Deacon Dave, and
Yeah.
who's participating.
Right.
But
Yeah.
a wide variety.
Wide variety. And again, and also like some people who are training for, there was one person one year who was using it as a supplement to train for a triathlon, and then another person who's just got out of a stem cell. So again, looking at how to manage a small group like that, it's definitely the advantage of having your certification in cancer exercise and understanding progressions and modifications. And again, what's been beautiful with this class is I've seen so many friendships develop. People ask if we have support groups, and we don't have a typical definition of a support group where we're sitting in a circle talking about a specific subject. But our support is very organic. And I've seen friendships grow so deep. And, some of the people in here today where cancer survivors have met in our programming and they go on vacation together, or they'll, in an emergency, drive someone to care. And it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that organic support. You're right. So even this setting in this room for 13 years, people coming together for the Cancer Education Series, going for spin class, coming for fellowship and fruit smoothies. So it's not done as everybody said in a circle and sort of talk about what happened to you last week. It's done as we do activities, but you have this sense of caring. The other thing that you bring to every group, which is just wonderful, is this, again, the philosophical approach, whether it is in talking about gratitude, um, journaling, being present, themes of mindfulness and compassion. And so you can get a little bit of aerobic workout for your heart and resistance workout for your muscles, and then this mindfulness that is really part of the total. So it's not just cross training where you do aerobic and anaerobic resistance. It really works every aspect of your heart, not just the pumping part of your heart, but the compassion part of your heart.
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad you mentioned gratitude, because each cancer survivor who participates in our total training program is gifted a Nepalese paper-made journal. And we talk a lot about the benefits of journaling and gratitude journaling and reflective writing. And that is interwoven into that program, as well as all this different breath work. And again, Above and Beyond Cancer sponsored me studying meditation and being able to develop that, again, not just for myself, but how to expand so I can offer that to all of our participants. So I feel like that's been a real monumental shift, again, for me professionally and personally, and offering this
And Mary, some of the training that you've taken over the years. So obviously you were you had your master's in education, so you were already a certified teacher, but you were then a personal trainer. And then I'm sure you've gotten many different types of certification in personal training, but specifically from Above and Beyond Cancer, the personal training for cancer survivors, meditation, yoga as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so with the support of Above and Beyond Cancer, I'm just finishing up my trauma-informed yoga therapy certification. So this will be another program expansion for us in the fall. It is a program that's designed to help people deal and manage and overcome anxiety with using yoga and meditation. It's all science-based.
And it's evidence-based.
Yes, all evidence-based. And urban pole walking, working with Trina, who's been a great partner and mentor for me professionally in the medical world. We've expanded, not just certifying me, but getting other people certified to help teach urban pole walking. And then I was thinking of another one. Oh, and this fall, Above and Beyond Cancer is supporting me to go and complete my forest bathing certification. So we'll be able to offer forest bathing on a more frequent programming as well. So, it's been a wonderful journey.
And so we're really bringing in these programs that are proven to benefit, improve quality of life. And some, we don't really pitch them as something that's going to necessarily improve one's cure of cancer, although there is some limited evidence that in breast cancer and colon cancer, engaging in physical activity improves the overall outcomes in terms of controlling cancer. But we know it vastly improves quality of life and reduces stress. So maybe let's just run through so people know all of the different programs that we have active right now for cancer survivors and their families.
Right. So some other program we have, in addition to the indoor cycling and the cancer education series and the total training, which were just mentioned, we have a book club that meets hybrid now. And that is a beautiful group of people who come, and we talk about, of course, the selected book. And often we also may end that book club with some breath work. We also have a nutrition and cooking class that is taught at Kitchen Collage, and it's also hybrid. People can Zoom in and cook with the chef, and also we have a registered dietitian who is at every cooking class to talk about the nutritional and the science behind nutrition with what we're cooking. So it's a very educational and inspiring and yummy class. I love the nutrition and cooking classes, and I love book club. We also have our urban pole walking program. We currently offer 2 outdoor classes, and we also, Above and Beyond Cancer, supplies poles, and so we can take that barrier away and make sure that people have their own.
And that's outdoor walking with poles, so you get the
Yes.
arms going.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of science behind cancer survivorship specifically, or research specifically with urban pole walking and cancer survivorship. And we've been doing our own data with that as well. So that is another evidence-based program. We also offer meditation. We offer in partnership with the Des Moines Meditation Group, a face-to-face sitting meditation. And then we also offer a virtual meditation class. So meditation twice a week. We offer Qigong. We partner with Tai Chi Iowa to offer Tai Chi for fall prevention. That is a in-person class and also a virtual class. We have a bike club that starts back up in May. Yay, a bike club.
So outdoor cycling.
Yep, outdoor cycling. So that goes from spring until the very end of August. It's a super fun group. That group has really grown and evolved. And again, a lot of ages and speeds, and it's a very welcoming and open group.
Outdoor hiking.
Outdoor hiking. We have a hiking yoga every Tuesday morning. That's been going year round now for 2 years, rain, snow, or shine. We also have an adventure fitness program. So kind of pop-up activities where we'll do, we might go to Easter Lake and get out on the water and do yoga by the lake afterwards, or we might go to Jester and snowshoe.
Do some paddle boarding perhaps.
Yes.
Or,
yep. And we've done a variety of canoeing and kayaking and snowshoeing, and that kind of just encouraging people to get outside, because getting outside is so it's one of the most affordable ways to boost our well-being. The natural endorphins that are released from being in nature. We've also offered forest bathing and sound healing as kind of unique events throughout the year. What am I missing? Am I missing anything?
We also did music as therapy.
Yes.
So we did a workshop on the healing benefits of music. And we've also done the healing benefits of art.
Yes.
So art therapy, the creative, just as journaling can be healing, so can music and art and poetry and literature. Mm-hmm. So I really love the way that we have evolved. You know, it's not just come to the gym and do some crunches and run around the track. There's the physical and incorporating stretching and also outdoor activities, and then also the creativity programs that we're doing.
Yes.
One of the things that I'm excited about is, we talk about evidence-based. Not only are we following evidence-based programs, but we're creating evidence-based programs. So one of the exciting things for Above and Beyond this year is that the researcher, the psychologist, Susan Lutgendorf, who's PhD in psychology at the University of Iowa, worked with many of our transformational journeys and did pre and post journey psychological assessments. And so that Above and Beyond Cancer journey experience has been written up and been accepted in a peer-reviewed journal, and it'll be published in a psychology journal. The actual title of the article is Above and Beyond Cancer, a program to enhance optimism and resilience. So not only do we follow evidence-based programs in what we design, but we're actually part of helping to create the evidence for programs moving forward. And thanks to you and everybody else with Above and Beyond Cancer who's made this possible.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love so many things about Above and Beyond Cancer. Of course, I'm extremely biased, but I really feel that it's the collaborative effort that has allowed Above and Beyond Cancer to grow. You know, we've had so many and continue to have so many amazing partners that that allow us to continue to offer affordable programming for the community and our donors and our sponsors. But with the YMCA's partnership and MercyOne Health and Fitness's partnership, and other community entities that have supported us and allowed us to continue to
Easter
lift
Lake and Jester Park and Waterworks Park that have allowed us to bring our activities into their places. Where would you like, what would you like us to do that we're not doing?
I would like our outreach to diversify. I feel, and just increase our participation overall. If there's anything that we can continue to do as an organization to narrow that gap in health equity, I think that would be a beautiful thing that we can do. And also to what we're in the works of doing now is expanding an AYA program. And so again, just diversifying our outreach, getting more young.
Those who aren't familiar, AYA stands for Adolescent and Young Adults.
Yes. So, and getting more involvement in our younger cancer survivor population.
It has more relevance in some of the in diversity and some of the more vulnerable populations, and in the AYA. Also, through what we've learned through COVID is the ability to expand our reach via virtual options. So it used to be up until COVID that the only way that anyone could participate in this cancer education series is you had to be here in this room, from 5:30 to 6:30 on Wednesday. And now not only can we have speakers that might be halfway around the world joining us, but people can also watch live stream in real time, or tomorrow this will be on our YouTube channel for people to participate in remotely on demand.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how, it's been an unfortunate 2 years and a lot of reasons, different ways, but also we've rallied and been able to increase almost our outreach.
So I want to shift gears a little bit. So I want to first ask you, what has Above and Beyond Cancer, what have the cancer survivors who have been participants, what have they taught you? How have you changed? And you touched on it a bit, but maybe elaborate, over the last 10 years, how have you changed as a result of the work that you have done with cancer survivors?
Well, definitely compassion. It's brought a degree of deeper patience to my thinking and perspective. It has deepened relationships. I've met, so many remarkable people through the work with Above and Beyond Cancer. Friendships that have carried me through everything from enjoying my job to helping carry through my own personal challenges. Compassion. I've learned resiliency. I've learned, how to just keep moving.
And when we started Above and Beyond Cancer back in 2011, you were a personal trainer and program director, but not a cancer survivor. And that has changed. And you now have the street credibility of actually being a cancer survivor. So I invite you to share with us the experience that you went through and how does it feel? Does it feel different, the job you're doing now that you are a cancer survivor?
Yeah. So December, I went in for a colonoscopy, and the colonoscopy was cut short a little bit because the doctor was partway through my colon and couldn't get around a mass, and told me as I was recovering that I had a cancer, a tumor in my colon. And so, I think I was a little out of it because of whatever,
Yeah, you had a little bit of
and I
anesthesia
kind
and
of
you're waking
thought
up
maybe it was
and
an early April Fool's joke or something, but it wasn't. And so, yeah, I was really surprised. And the first thing I did as I was being driven home, is I called my insurance provider because I wanted to make sure Mercy was in network. Just needed to make double sure before I gave Dr. Deming a call. And thankfully, I had just literally changed insurance providers because it was in network. So anyway, yeah, I called Dick and
yeah,
it helped me.
I think you texted first
I
and
did.
said I'm waking up from my colonoscopy and they just told me I have colon cancer.
Yes, I gave you a text of the
And
paperwork.
yeah, and so then we connected and came in the next day, and so then you had surgery.
I did. I had surgery on December 22nd, and I went home on December 23rd and got my butt walking as much as I could.
Mhm.
Kept bugging my surgeon. When can I bike again? When can I? No. No, I felt really blessed. I had I do have a great team. My surgery was very successful. My recovery has been very smooth. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very lucky.
And how would you say, psychologically or philosophically, would having had cancer, being a cancer survivor, has it changed you in any way?
I mean, I think most definitely the first thing that it deepened was my level of compassion. Even though I consider myself a fairly compassionate person, our levels of compassion shift when, the path we walk shifts. And I still won't ever claim to know everybody's story. I wouldn't do that. We all have a different cancer journey or non-cancer journey. But it gave me a taste for sure of what that felt like. The hardest part, I think, for me was waiting for the news from my scan to where the cancer had or had not gone. And thankfully, with you on my side, that time was short. I didn't have to wait a long time to get that news. But I remember thinking, this is what I have heard. This is
The
what
waiting.
people feel, the wait, the
So you're
anxiety.
told you have cancer, then you get a scan. Okay, is it spread or is it localized?
Mhm.
And then there's the wait. You have the surgery, and okay, were the lymph nodes involved or not involved? When am I going to find out? I mean, those waiting,
Right.
because
Yes.
you're obviously a very intelligent person who understands some of the things that each test looks for and how that
Mhm.
may affect the path that you're on.
Right. I do believe that my breath practice and the years prior to that of implementing a breath practice and a mindfulness practice, I certainly believe that it helped me through that time and continues to help me. It doesn't mean I didn't have fear and I didn't experience anger and I didn't experience doubt. But I also, at that same time, felt a general sense of this, whatever comes my way, I will deal with it, and it will be as it will be. So that kind of was just waiting there, just kind of like a still pond. It was there, even though a jet ski may come across with the thought. It was just, there's a stillness right next to it.
So I'm hearing you say that the work you have done over the last few years, I mean, for yourself, in terms of obviously your attention to your physical fitness, but your attention to practices of meditation and breathing and calming paid off. They really can help keep the water smooth even when the wind is blowing.
100%.
Mhm.
And that's, mindfulness or meditation, breath, it is like exercise. The more consistently you do it, the more apt we're able to pull it in. When emotions start to feel dysregulated. So the importance of having that consistency and practicing it on days that things seem just fine. That routine is important so we can tap back into
Mhm.
it. And as I sat there in that waiting room, waiting for my name to be called, and my mind would go here, and I could go back, and I'd be like, okay, breathe. And then I might be settled in that breath, and then my mind might go, and it's just that awareness. And it definitely was helpful.
Has your cancer journey affected in any way the way you interact with, a new patient, a cancer survivor that's going to be part of a class you're teaching?
Well, it's definitely brought more understanding specifically to colon cancer, and understanding more of personally what that is, what that entails, and a recovery specifically from that type of surgery. And again, not all colon cancer treatments are the same. But I think anytime we can deepen our understanding, it does help how you can serve, that population. But in general, it's just, I think, even made me an even better listener and a more compassionate um, supporter of that survivor.
And you've also done some public service announcements talking about the importance of colonoscopy or colorectal cancer screening,
Mhm.
because anyone, even a super fit person who meditates and does breathing, can still get colon cancer.
Yeah, that's not right.
That's not right. Yeah, and fortunately, we do have, not every type of cancer is there good screening. We don't have good screening for pancreas cancer, but we do have screening for colorectal cancer. And so, being a spokesman and using your soapbox and megaphone to help spread the word has been important.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful to hear that insurance companies have lowered the age or
Yes.
to age 45. So if you're
Hmm.
45 or older, go get your colonoscopy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Because who knows? Had you had a colonoscopy at 45, but when you were 45, it wasn't part of the recommendations. And the thing about colonoscopy, it not only can discover a cancer, it actually can prevent colon cancer, because when you have a colonoscopy done, they remove little benign polyps that could over time grow into a cancer. And so having colonoscopies, having mammograms doesn't prevent breast cancer. It finds it early. But a colonoscopy not only can find a colon cancer early, it can actually prevent a colon cancer, because in the act of doing the colonoscopy, they remove benign polyps they could have grown into cancer. So Mary, we're going to open it up to questions from our live studio audience and to those of you that are watching us live streaming. So we've got a microphone here. Some questions for Mary.
You mentioned that you're going to be introducing group therapy. Do you know when that's going to be starting? Because I have some friends that I met through radiation therapy, and we definitely would love to join in that.
And when you say group therapy, you mean like a support group?
Support group therapy,
Yes.
yes.
Yep. So we're going to be doing that at the Cancer Center.
Okay.
And so I would say that's probably going to be more of a Cancer Center activity than a above and beyond.
Okay.
But what Mary was implying that any of the activity, even this activity, Angelina, that you are part of right now, is a support group, but we are going to also be developing some of the more formal support groups that meet periodically where you come together in a room as
Mhm.
opposed to an exercise room, and do that. So that is going to be happening later this year. Yes.
Cool. And I did benefit from Becky was the instructor for it wasn't Tai Chi, it's called the other one, and doing it virtual. And it was really nice because I was still doing the radiation therapy and balance was still kind of, and she was just so gentle and just really good instructor. And she goes, "Oh, you're welcome to repeat the class again." And I go, "Yeah, I know I was kind of off on my balance, but it's really good, and I do recommend that course."
Thank you. So Angelina
Yeah.
was talking about our Tai Chi for Fall Prevention class that we partner with Tai Chi Iowa. And it's offered virtually and in person, and Above and Beyond Cancer scholarships cancer survivors for any registration fees associated with the Tai Chi for Fall Prevention class. So I'm glad that was beneficial for you. It's very important.
Other questions or comments?
I have a question for Mary. How has this affected your family? You being involved, in, cancer prevention, but also being able to help those cancer patients and you going off on trips and has this, I know you mentioned you have some children. How has this really affected them?
Thank you for asking that. I do have a slide that has my beautiful 2 children. My daughter right now is, I have to think, she's 20, they're 22, and Luke is 20. And so when I left for Everest Space Camp, Anna was 11 and Luke was 9. And that was the first time as a mother I was ever leaving my children, ever. Not just wasn't for one night. Now this is for 21 days. I had a lot of motherly guilt around leaving my children. It wasn't something I thought I would do. Of course, I got over that. But what they saw and what they've told me is, paraphrasing here, a mom who was expanding their mom role. And what they both learned over their time with me being with Above and Beyond Cancer is the amazing work that nonprofits do, and what how this job was meaningful and powerful for me, and the difference it was making. And both Anna and Luke have been active in volunteering with Above and Beyond Cancer, and they too have become friends and gotten to know people within the Above and Beyond Cancer community. So I would say for them, it has been a positive mark to see me in this role, and also inspired them as they look at their life and what does it mean to be able to give back as individuals as well. I can remember this one specific time. A friend of ours, Jeff Lawrence, one time said to me, he is a cancer survivor, and he said, "Cancer is the best, worst thing that's ever happened to me." And we had a conversation about that, and I'm sure you guys are just nodding your head, right? We get this. One day I was standing in my kitchen, and my kids can read me like a book. They can tell if I'm not very happy that day. But I had just gotten news that our friend Judith Allen had passed away. And I met Judith through Above and Beyond Cancer, and she helped me inspired me to go to my very first meditation class. And I was very moved by Judith, and I learned a lot from her. Before she passed away, I went to go hear her teach at Drake campus. She was a philosophy teacher. So I admired her, and I was very moved by her. And when I heard of her passing, of course, I was just kind of standing there. I was expecting it, but you're still kind of stunned and sad. And Anna came home and was like, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I was like, I just found out my friend Judith passed away. And Anna looked at me and they said, "Mom, you have too much cancer in your life." And I said, "You're right. I do have a lot of cancer in my life." And it's the best, worst thing. And we had that conversation. They get it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Other questions? Well, Mary, that was so beautiful, and yeah, as a cancer doctor, you can't be in a profession of caring for cancer patients without feeling pain and loss, and part of being mindful is that you experience that loss and you deeply feel it, but then you walk into the next room with someone else and you become present in that room. And over time, you come to understand that we are all mortal, that being moved and affected by a loss is a sign of how much that person meant to us. You know, it wasn't just a business transaction. This was someone that I deeply cared for. And there's a beautiful line, the end of the novel by Wallace Stegner, All the Little Live Things, as he's kind of reminiscing about would he have been better off not to have gotten and become friends with this person who ultimately died of cancer? Would I have been better off not to have known the joy, but not to have to experience this pain? And he concludes, I shall be richer all my life for this sorrow. And that loving someone deeply enough that you have sorrow ultimately changes you in a way that makes you better. So thank you, my friend, for sharing your life with Above and Beyond Cancer and sharing your story tonight. Thank all of you for participating this evening. If you know someone that would benefit by listening to this program, it will be available tomorrow on the Above and Beyond Cancer YouTube channel to watch anytime you want on demand. It'll also be available on the MercyOne Cancer Center website. So thanks for joining us, and please come again next week to join us for our cancer education series. Thanks, everyone.